For Kinjiketile Suite at the South London Gallery, I decided to continue some research I had begun on the Maji Maji War. The Maji Maji War took place in what is now present-day Tanzania between 1905 and 1907. The war was instigated by a traditional healer by the name of Kinjiketile. I refer really specifically to a play which was written by Ibrahim Hussein, a Tanzanian playwright who wrote a play called Kinjiketile in 1969. And throughout the play, there's different moments in which we see the protagonist, Kinjiketile, unsure, doubting his very act of calling all these people together to rebel, and also the ability of his sacred water to actually protect the fighters. The castor oil plant was meant to be one of the ingredients in Kinjiketile's sacred water. And these castor oil plants, of course, will grow throughout the duration of the exhibition. Another reoccurring theme in my work is that of belief. And so in the exhibition, one will find two instances in which this moment of doubt in terms of the play by Ibrahim Hussein are demonstrated. One is through the recitation of this play through actors who are invited into the exhibition space. On Saturdays, they recite that scene. And in another moment, there's a video in which that same scene is interpreted slightly differently during a rehearsal by three actors from the University of Dar es Salaam's acting department. So in addition to seeing Kinjiketile shown in two ways, one is in a live oral setting, another one is in the video. One also has a demonstration of that through the Maji Maji research project, in which history students were sent out to different parts of rural Tanzania, and they interviewed people who had either witnessed the Maji Maji War on their own, or from their family or people nearby. Testimonies are present in the exhibition in a very simple way through scans and photocopies, which are simply attached to the back of one of the partition structures which make up the exhibition. One of the elements one finds repeatedly presented again in the exhibition space are a number of kanga fabrics, and these kanga fabrics had an eye motif on them, as well as a saying or an inscription, which translated means the eye of Bokero. Bokero being a term which is also associated with Kinjiketile. There's, I guess, three moments which are dealt with in the exhibition. One is our contemporary present day, which is brought about through my own voice, which is found through the exhibition space in a sound installation, as well as photos that I've taken through my research studies, my research trips to Tanzania, and the kanga fabrics, which I spoke about earlier. There's another moment in time, which is just after Tanzanian independence, in which Julius Nyerere, the first Prime Minister of Tanzania, puts forward a social policy called Ujamaa, in which he himself refers back to the Maji Maji War as an example of Tanzanian unity and a new social order, or an attempt towards a new social order. There's also included an audio track, which is a fragmented narrative of my own voice, in which there's a mix of different type of texts. There are kind of folk tales, local myth or folklore. The question of transparency and seeing things in various layers is intentionally played with in the space by using these partition structures, which are sometimes open, sometimes closed. They sometimes obscure or hold information. The choice of using the sisal rope refers to two different things. One is the large amount of hangings that happened during the Maji Maji War. The sisal rope also has another reading. One is of the importance of the sisal as a cash crop in Tanzanian economy. So at once it speaks to its introduction into Tanzania through Europeans who had come to establish sisal estates, but the sisal continued to be an important cash crop. In my recent projects, I've been interested in time and temporality as a material. So it's something that I try to sculpt, I try to fold, tear apart, reassemble. And I think this approach can be seen in the exhibition in a couple of different ways, but maybe two examples is that of the magazine, which is folded. And this magazine I chose because it spoke to a mutiny which happened in Tanzania not too long after Tanzanian independence. And so what I chose to do was simply fold these images on themselves. And so these kind of photojournalistic images of the mutiny enter into dialogue with advertising from American companies. The archive for me is also, or the document is not something that is sacred. It's something that can be folded, can be manipulated, can be torn apart, can be recontextualized, tactile, accessible. It's as much material as it is conceptual.